This is All India Radio, Bangalore, Bhadravati and Mysore. We now bring you a talk by Dr. K. Shivram Karanth. Thoughts on children's literature.
I can only speak about children's literature as far as my own Kannada language is concerned. But I have reasons to assume that it is not better in other regional languages of India. As a people, our sentiments towards children has always been good because they are our progeny. And we too have been children once. As for buying books for children, this fact is forgotten. We would buy sweets for children but hesitate to buy books. Such books are not many, and we feel that school texts are more than enough. As elders, as parents, as teachers, we either pamper them or regiment them. Our affections towards them induces us to do the former, and our desire to pattern them after our own selves induces us to do the latter. But both these elements have not led us to understand their nature, their desires or capabilities, and so we don't allow them to grow as they ought to. For all these things, we blame the system of education and our society as if we are not part of it and therefore responsible for the state of affairs. Just a year ago, we celebrated the Children's Year all over the country with great gusto. This occasion really did bring out a lot of childishness in us elders about the whole business of bringing up children. During the Year of the Child, inducements were given to writers and publishers of books by the government. Such inducement brought out a large number of books supposed to be meant for children. A brisk rate of writing and publishing displayed our enthusiasm from the standpoint of quantity. Fairly a large number of books came out too. From the standpoint of quality, not much was achieved. As for variety, much lacuna could be observed, for in the range of topics covered, there were very many blanks. Enthusiasm is all right, and good intentions are welcome, but for proper children's literature to come into existence in a form that a child will grab with eagerness, many other things are necessary. For bringing out such productions, we will have to understand the child first and then only attempt to write books for them. Our capacity to spin out sentences in the vernacular will not be enough to cover this vast and urgent need. We have to ask ourselves as to what it is that the child needs most. Surely it likes stories. What is it in that we want them to appreciate in those stories? Is it enough if you give them a lot of stories without bothering about its content and manner of expressing them? Even while telling a story to a child, you have to consider its age, its mental equipment at that particular age, its likes and dislikes, its wants and curiosities. The language and the style in which we tell the story has to suit the age as well as impress upon its mind. To induce a child to read a book, we must be able to communicate successfully the elements of the story we want to convey. Our good intentions are not at all enough. Our vocabulary will have to be simple and charming. Our way of telling the story must hold its interests. Mere word and sentence spinning cannot do it. A pedantic style or meant for elders will be useless. Our language should approach the child's vocabulary, which is the product of its environment, family, and society. Then comes the job of choosing words. Its style may have to vary with a child's age. Very few writers have bothered about the cultivation of such a style. It is taken for granted that a Kannada child will read and understand everything that is written in Kannada. A child is sensitive towards rhyme, rhythm, and sound patterns, which we think are the properties of poetry alone. Good nursery rhymes can teach us the meaning of many meaningless rhymes too. Repetition of a few words and thought patterns during the narration of a story meaningfully is much liked by the child. Certain mannerisms can go along with certain types of characters of a story. Many writers of books for children have totally failed to cultivate a suitable style when writing for children. In Kannada, late Sri Panje, Rajaratnam and Sri Hoysala have done this job. Many think that narration of incidents one after the other makes a good story. We allow no time for each incident of a tale To stick on to the mind of a child graphically, to hold the child's interest, each sentence must present a visual image before the child. To enjoy a story, a child will have to merge its personality with the characters and actions of a story. Descriptions of characters, situations, and reactions will have to be graphic. Illustrations can only add additional charm to what is being narrated. What the face of a child which reads a story acutely. You will then discover whether it is immersed in it or not. What emotions do its eyes, lips, cheeks and fingers betray? Does it skip the pages swiftly, or does it do it miserly with affection and enjoyment as if munching a piece of chewing gum? A child that merely races over the pages may turn out to be a sensation monger, not an enjoyer of tales told with sincerity and feeling. The contents of themes told and the characters involved in these stories may have to vary with a child's mental age. The child's interests, likes and dislikes grow and enlarge with its age. Hence, the types of stories narrated will have to change and vary for each age group. A child grows with age and its world enlarges as years pass on. They are gifted with senses, which are the only windows in the world of reality and the mystery hidden behind it. Their eyes are meant to devour sights, their ears probe into the mystery of sounds, their skin seeks to develop intimacy with objects that surround it. They want to know everything about the world in which they live and move. The more they move, the more they hear, touch and see, the more they want to know. Curiosity becomes their hobby. What, how, why become their objectives in life. They take equal interest in animate and inanimate things. They develop intimacy with living things. Things very small, things very big do interest them much more. Color of all things appeal to them. They want to grab things that display attractive colors. They want to chase things that move. Even from its final year onwards, a child's interests grow about everything that it chances to see. In fact, its interest in its own species, the man, is much less than its interest about insects, lizards, birds, and mammals. If you recognize this fact of child's life, we have so many things to write about. There is no dearth of subject matter at all, but we ourselves are mostly ignorant about them. That is because our childhood has been starved intellectually and emotionally. Before a child develops interest in ornament and clothes, it has already developed interest about water, soil, rock and sand. It grabs anything that comes in its way. It tries to crumple them or tear them apart in order to know as to what it is made of. It seems to touch, and its attraction for colors of objects involve it both inanimate and inanimate things of the world. Should books meant for children keep mum towards the above said topics in which children are deeply interested? If so, many of the writers have left this vast job untouched. How much there is to tell the child which it wants to know. By its very activities we can discover its interests and simple questions asking us by pointing to the sky, river and sea. That merely elicits from us single word answers. It's the sky, it's a sun, it's a hill, etc. Our wisdom does not go beyond such proper names. But a child wants to know what the sky is, what the sun is, what the sea is, and what the river is. When the knowledge of its parents is too limited to satisfy its curiosity, two things are open to us. Either to allow the child to discover the world by itself, or provide it with suitable books that can at least partially satisfy the child's knowledge. As we ourselves have not been provided with such books and materials when young, unless we make an attempt to study them, a lot of gaps are bound to remain uncovered. Our textbooks do not at all cover many such branches of knowledge. The vast number of books that Western countries produce continuously shows the way. If only we are interested in such topics, we can carry this enthusiasm to children. Minus such enthusiasm, no writing should be attempted. A child who lives in a particular region of India will be interested to know other parts of the country. Forests, mountains, deserts, sea coasts. with their flora and fauna and people. They can give children interesting visions of the whole of India. Then there is the vast earth of which India is only a part, vast deserts, tropical forests, Arctic regions, semi-arid zones would also interest children with its people and wildlife. People of many lands, peeps at many lands, their modes of living, customs, manners, etc. would interest grown-up children greatly. Now, do, how do children of these lands live? How do they hunt or procure food? Are of interest to elders like us too. How did man live in this past? How did he move from place to place? What all did men and civilizations achieve? Explorers, inventors, builders would inspire the child to develop its own capacities like the men who discovered fire, invented the wheel, studied the stars and planets, and wandered through continents and sailed over vast expanses of the sea and oceans. What all lie hidden in the sea, in the bowels of the earth, are topics a grown-up child would like to know. The number of themes that we can deal with is large, but only we have to equip ourselves for the task. I have met quite a number of enthusiasts, both in Karnataka and other regions, in seminars organized for the production of children's literature. But to my surprise, I find many of them have never bothered to look into the vast number of encyclopedias and books produced in the West, specially meant for children. A graduate will think that a subject and a language he has studied in his school is sufficient to make him a writer of books for children in his particular vernacular. If that is the stuff of which the enthusiasts are made of, then there is no hope at all. We ourselves have to learn a lot, both by way of writing, illustrating, and producing books. Unless we feel that there is no end to learning, we cannot fulfill the needs of our children. Let me add one more need, which has been totally neglected in children's literature produced in our country. That is the stimulation and guidance that could be provided through illustrations and instructions to help a child towards creative activity. We constantly see them play with sticks, stones, sand and mud. They want to create things or imitate things created by elders. They would like to make dolls, build houses, boats, etc. By folding paper, they can shape boats, birds and aeroplanes, and by weaving strips of colored or undyed straw, they can create small mats, baskets and the like. Books meant for them can guide them to create so many things on their own. This would in latter life lead them to hobbies, if not to such vocations. If we shut our eyes to what is being done by progressive countries of the East or West, our educational system, books and materials for teaching will not grow. It will ever remain dull and dreary and unenthusing as is today. One great drawback that needs mention here is the subject of illustration and production of books. Good illustrations and add not only charm to their subject matter, but also help to clear many topics that words often fail to express. Proper illustrations have to be thought of from two angles. One where it stimulates the fancy of the child, mostly in stories. Especially in stories, unreal things like a fairy or a demon come and a child fails to create an image of its own about them. Many Western artists excel in such creations. Then again, in fables, illustrations of the type of Mickey the Mouse or Donald the Duck add immense charm to characters of an otherwise good story. This becomes a must for books meant for children of young age.
You were listening to Dr. K. Shivram Karanth on children's literature. This broadcast came to you from All India Radio, Bangalore.